Merry Christmas! Good morning. Today is Monday, December 25th. Welcome to PT on Ice. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to join with me this morning. I'd kind of be surprised if they are. But I thought today would be a really good day to jump on. Oh, it looks like somebody jumped on. Some brave soul jumped on. Merry Christmas, Alan. All right, we got a couple of people on live with us this morning. So today I thought would be kind of a cool day to go into something that I think is really, really important, and one that today just kind of lends itself to for a lot of reasons. So without further ado, I'm going to get rolling in. It looks like some people are rolling in. So good morning, Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm a little surprised at the response. I didn't think we'd have a whole lot of folks here this morning, but I guess we'll get rolling. So thanks for being on with me. All right, let me start the watch. You know I got to have that. Okay, so there's a lot to cover this morning, it being Christmas and all. And first and foremost, the reason why I wanted to do this is because, Merry Christmas to you, Michelle, because there's just a ton to cover, and today suits like this topic better than anything. So I have to kind of start with a little bit of preface or like prologue, there's kind of an intro to this. And I'll try to get through it all in my 15 minutes or less so that everybody can get back to their families and doing all the right stuff. But I'm hoping to fuel that a little bit today. So it starts with this idea that Christmas, in my mind, is an all-play holiday, right? It's an all-play holiday. Whether you are a Christian or not, whether your religion is one that that celebrates Christmas, we could get into that. That's not what today is about in any way, shape, or form. But the reason why I say it's an all-play holiday is because there is something about a moment when the world pauses, or primarily most of the world pauses, that we can really think about how this impacts health-facing practice, right? So health-facing practice, what that is in my mind is, again, just to reiterate from many, many posts past, it's the idea of looking at health and not facing disease always and not facing sort of the negative. So if you followed along for the last couple of episodes that I've done, you may have heard me talk a lot about things like allostatic load and things like, mental illness and mental health and kind of that whole spectrum of things, because we know that is playing a huge role in the health of populations. So to do that, today I wanted to shift to happiness, right? So the other side of that trajectory, the health-facing side of that trajectory. So not so much the disease end of it, but more the actual well-being side of things. And so that's another term that's being thrown around quite a bit. So to start with that, we got to start with this idea of hedonic happiness versus eudaimonic happiness. And those are two terms that I want to start to kind of put into the lexicon, and you'll understand why today I picked this topic in a few minutes, I hope, if I do it right. I can't guarantee anything here. Okay, so what is hedonic happiness? It's pleasure. It's the things that we like in pleasure. So I'm going to see if I can pull this off. I'll show you an Eisenhart Merry Christmas tradition that we wake up with and get a little pleasure first thing in the morning here. If you can see this. There. Hopefully you can see that, right? So what that is a homemade Lindsay Eisenhart special cinnamon bun, and we wake up to those on Christmas morning, and it's kind of a family tradition, and that is complete and total hedonic happiness. Now I'm waiting. I'm waiting till the end to eat this. Why is it hedonic happiness? Because it's loaded with sugar. It's terrible for you, but our brains light up because it's a family tradition, and it's one that we absolutely relish, right? So that's hedonic happiness. It's pleasure. Now that's the one we all know when we think of happiness. The one we don't talk about a lot is eudaimonic happiness, which is this idea of a greater well-being. So this was a term that was brought first by Aristotle, and it basically talks about this idea of purpose. It talks about the idea of contribution, about being bigger than yourself, about doing something that's, you get pleasure not in the hedonic sense, but you get a feeling of well-being, of doing something great and primarily for others. And so now you start to maybe see why these things play in with each other and why today is a particularly important day to do that. So the idea of eudaimonic happiness is one that gives tremendous well-being benefits. So today, in my mind, is the day that you start your health-facing practice. And maybe that means like you literally start your practice, like you incorporate, or it means that you just do something that causes you to face health and allows you to build some reserve of health and well-being in someone else. So in my practice at Proactivity, we have a mission of stronger, happier people through better health, and certainly that plays over into the APHPT and the course that we do with ICE Physio. But one of the things you can dive into a little bit deeper is what actually promotes well-being. It turns out that pleasure is a very, very small part of this, right? That hedonic happiness is a very small part of it. But 4 things that have been identified by some researchers, which is being led, I think, quite a bit by the UCLA, University of Southern California, Los Angeles. And what they basically have said is, look, sustained positive emotion, the ability to have some kind of positive emotion, the recovery from negative emotion. Can you bounce back from something bad? Empathy and altruism. Okay, now we're starting to dial into where we want to be. Empathy and altruism, pro-social behavior, and then finally mind-wandering, mindfulness, mindlessness, what they call affective stickiness. And they've looked across countries and they've looked at this. But today is a really important day because it allows us all, universally, regardless of religion, regardless of belief system, to have a moment of empathy and altruism, to be pro-social in what we do. So the idea of gift giving, right? So this is a classic example. Why is today perfect? Gift giving is something that actually gives us greater well-being. So as a parent, I can see this. Certainly, I have 3 kids. They wake up early in the morning. This morning, it's 8:30 on the East Coast. We've been done for hours at this point. We wake up 6 o'clock. I got one of them in there kind of, poking me in the eye like, hey, can we get up and open gifts and do all that great stuff? And of course, we want to do that. But as parents, right? As parents, that gift giving allows us to have some sort of a deep piece of well-being. It lights up our brains. And certainly if you've ever given a gift to somebody that's meaningful, whether it be a birthday gift or whether it be any other holiday or whether it be a Christmas gift, you get that. You get that benefit. Okay? And so today is a perfect example of how to do that and when to do it with someone else and if you can. So I want to go a little bit deeper. There's actually science that backs this up. Lo and behold, it turns out that those 4 things, what they call the 4 supports of well-being, those 4 things actually have neural circuits to back it up. So even though in many ways, if you're in sort of the therapy world like I am, you hear a lot about pain neuroscience, and we're talking a lot about sort of the circuitry that lights up in a negative scenario. That's kind of that disease-facing side. There's also mirror circuits that light up on the positive side, on the health-facing, on the happiness side. And one of the key things that we know is that there's a very big difference. So I want to point your attention to a study, and I'll throw it out there if anybody who's interested. It caught my eye because the lead author's name, his first name is Grit, which I'm sure it's not pronounced grit, but anytime I see that, I mean, how perfect could that be? Here's a guy who's talking about happiness in the long term, and we know grit, the idea of resilience, long-term perseverance toward a goal. Those are all things that give people happiness. That's much more like the flow state. Right? And so the flow state is very much that idea of, I was kind of in the flow, I was in the zone. That's eudaimonic happiness. And many times it's elicited when someone is doing something that is difficult. Someone is doing something that's very, very hard. So this guy Grit, or probably Greet, I don't know is how you would actually say it, Grit Hein, in 2010, you can find his research. So this is the coolest idea, right? What he does is he takes sports fans, people who are like rabid soccer fans, and he shows them someone experiencing pain. And what he wants to know is, what will they do? Will they exhibit pro-social behavior? Will they do something to help that person who's experiencing pain? And the way the experiment was designed is that you have to actually endure pain yourself in order to get this other person out of pain. And so the question became, what will they do? And lo and behold, what they found very clearly and very sound in the research, very obviously in the research, was this idea of, lo and behold, connect. Right? Connect. The concept of, will you connect with other people? Will you connect with your tribe? Will you get up on Christmas morning and jump on a Facebook Live with the rest of the tribe? So yeah, just as Alan says, a tribe of high performers. But the idea is that there was something there, that they were much more likely to intervene and endure personal pain and discomfort to get their teammate, their co-sports fan, out of the painful experience that they were having. What was also interesting was that they weren't as likely to do it for the people outside of their tribe. They weren't as likely to endure physical or some kind of pain to get the other folks out of it. And what was really cool is that they were doing fMRI during this to see what areas of the brain would light up. So here's what was found. Here's what they found in the research, right? Was that there was some kind of an empathy circuit that when a person had compassion, when they saw someone else that they cared about and they were willing to take on that discomfort and take on that pain for the person, okay, when they were willing to do that, they had all sorts of circuitry light up, primarily in the anterior insula of the brain. Okay. What was really interesting, so that's that pro-social behavior idea. And pro-social behavior, we know, as I said in the beginning, is one of those 4 pillars of long-term happiness, of true on, I'm living a happy, healthy life, stronger, happier people. What was cool on the other side was that the antisocial behavior, the ability to not help the other person, it wasn't something that necessarily caused the subjects to not intervene in the sense of, hey, I'm going to hurt that person. It was more they had sort of top-down suppression of that circuit. The nucleus accumbens, the same circuit that we talk a lot about when it comes to pain, an overdeveloped connection somewhere in that area of the brain. That particular area of the brain seemed to suppress the urge for the person to help out the other person. Meaning that if you weren't a member of my fan tribe, whatever you want to call it, like let's say you like Manchester City or something, and I like Manchester United, and so I'm going to say, well, I have to find a way to to suppress that. I'm not going to help you. You're just going to have to be in pain. And they were able to do that based on the team affiliation, the tribe. So what does that come down to today in my 4 minutes and 55 seconds left? What it comes down to today is a perfect day to do any number of things, whether that be extend your tribe, right? Welcome someone in, find some connection point, because as soon as we feel connected in one way or another, like there's a neurophysiological loop that allows us, when we are connected, to actually do pro-social things. And so that gets us into more alike than different. Now, at a time in the world where there is just so much total bullshit going on with how we are segregating ourselves in every different way, whether that be politically or racially or any other way that we possibly can. In all of that, the way that we are currently doing that as of today, it gives us an opportunity, a chance to pause and say, hey, we are more alike than different. That when you look at it, when you boil it down, most of us are part of the same tribe one way or another. And so if we're willing to do that, we are willing to find a way to connect with people, then we can light up that center in our brain. Okay, the second thing, in addition to pro-social behavior, the getting into a tribe, the next thing that we can look at is the ability to find our way toward next steps. We can give a gift. That's something that we can do. We can give a gift today to anyone. Whether you are you celebrate this holiday or you don't celebrate this holiday, you can do something amazing for someone else. And by giving a gift, by actually extending yourself and giving something meaningful to someone else, the centers of your brain will light up and the centers of their brain will light up. So once we find that connection point, no matter what it is, right? So I commented on Twitter yesterday. I saw someone out there, David, was out there giving things to in a homeless shelter, people who were going to be cold this Christmas. He was finding ways to collect and give things to them. There was some benefit to that person, clearly, but there was also some amazing benefit to him. So giving a gift is another awesome way to do it. And there's no better time of year to do it than this, because it's socially appropriate to just walk up to anybody and create some level of generosity. And so I would urge you today, again, whether you celebrate this holiday or you don't celebrate this holiday, as a person who does, I'm inviting you. I'm saying this is a holiday for everybody, because this is a holiday where we can then give back to members who may not be in our tribe, but we can welcome them into our tribe. Okay, so that's another amazing thing that can be done. And then finally, just spending some time, just shutting down enough to spend some time. Now that seems ironic because I'm not shutting down. I'm here this morning at 8:30, just like we typically would be. But the reason why I do that is because I'm hoping that this message extends that invitation to our tribe. Whether that be the ICE tribe and you see yourself as a member or not a member, the door is open. Be part of our tribe. Connect with us. Whether that be the APHPT tribe, be part of our tribe. Connect with us. Share that pro-social behavior. Now, I'll leave you with the idea that we're not done with the challenge. So if you want to read up about this stuff, you want to dive into it a little bit, look into the World Happiness Report. And what you'll find is that in the United States, we're not doing as well as we could be. We've slipped a little bit for a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to go into that today. Some of them are pretty biting. Some of them are pretty political. But the issue is we've slipped a little bit. But if you look at the people who are leading the world, if you look at the nations who are leading the world when it comes to happiness, they seem to have an understanding of this idea of pro-social behavior, of helping your neighbor, of connecting with others, of being part of the same connected group. And so what I would say is that this is the time of year where most people are looking to start some kind of a health-related step forward. And if that's you, or if that's someone you know, or if you know that your community needs this, I'm inviting you, like absolutely 100% laying out the invitation saying, please join the rest of us in this idea of facing health, finding ways of helping our communities, our friends, our families, and other people that we care about to live a stronger, happier life. It's only Monday. It's Christmas Day. And with 45 seconds remaining, I'm out of here early this morning. But I hope that you'll take the time to explore this idea of hedonic versus eudaimonic and know very much that you have an invitation anytime in my house to stop by, enjoy a cinnamon bun, a little hedonic pleasure, and a lot of eudaimonic pleasure. Something that we can all move forward with and make a difference in our communities, families, friends, and tribes. Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a great day.